Coming to you live from your nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Corey Lewandowski coming up in a few moments. Got a big new job and he's always got something going on. He's going to flush this all out for us. You know, whenever you need just a refreshing look at everything going on in Trump world, you got to get Corey on. He's very dialed in. By the way, have you read his book yet, Let Trump Be Trump? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Go to Amazon.com, or your bookstore, or anywhere you can buy a book online or in your store and get Let Trump Be Trump by Corey Lewandowski and Dave Bossie, the story of Corey's campaign when he was there. It's a great read. It'll inspire you. It'll make you laugh. It's very funny. It'll give you insight. You'll get to know what's going on. Great book. Got to read it. It's like a must-read book. Let Trump Be Trump by Corey Lewandowski. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. I'm your Godzilla of the Truth in America. Joining us now from Washington, D.C., like me, Corey Lewandowski. Hey, Corey, great to have you.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me back on.
Now, look, very excited that you have joined the Vice President's Political Action Committee. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision you made to do that and how it's different from your past opportunity, just passed with America First policies?
Sure. Hey, and so let me just be clear, because I want to put the fake news right to bed. It's very important, John, I get this out of the way. Last week, the New York Times reported that there is a divide between the president and the vice president. The vice president's operation was trying to take over the RNC and the Republican Party. It's just not true. And this is something that the president and I and the vice president have been talking about for a long time, which is making sure that there is no daylight between what the vice president's team is doing and what the president's team is doing. And, John, I say this with the utmost affection. I don't think anybody questions my loyalty to this president. I don't think anybody could ever do that. And So when the vice president asked me to come over and be the senior advisor to his political action committee, I spoke to the president about it. He said, absolutely, I want you to do that. And the difference between the two, what was America First, which is the president's super PAC, that is an organization, John, which is designed to raise money and do independent expenditures on behalf of the group that is either going to support or oppose candidates for office. The vice president's PAC, of which I am now over at, is a hard money group which raises money and distributes it directly to the candidates for office. So those congressmen, those challengers, those senators, or those challenging candidates in places that are on the president's agenda get actual hard dollar contributions from the vice president's PAC. And that's what I'm going to help do. I'm going to help raise money for that and give financial contributions to the candidates and the elected officials who are supporting this administration's agenda. That's the big difference.
All right. So, Corey, just to clear this up, what is that political action committee? What is it actually called?
It's called Great America Committee, or GAC is the three initials. So it's the Great America Committee. It is chaired by Marty Obst, who I've known for a long, long time. He's a Pence political operative. I'm over there. You know, I've had the opportunity now to work with these guys for a while. I think you've seen I've been traveling around the country a little bit with the vice president. I'm doing that again on Friday. We're going to go to Indiana, where the vice president is going to give a discussion on the benefits of the tax plan. But then I will help him, and we're going to raise money for a candidate who's running for the U.S. Senate in Indiana, one in Missouri, and one in Ohio, who are all supporting the president's agenda. And so I'm going to travel with the vice president on Friday of this week to go out and do that for the Great America Committee,
of which you're a senior advisor. And just so our audience really understands the difference, the America First policies, as Corey was saying, is the Political Action Committee supporting the president's agenda. They'll be running ads and they'll be running other things that are buttressing the advancement of the president's agenda. They don't give money to candidates. Corey's PAC, Great America Committee, which is the Vice President's Political Action Committee, they're raising money. That money will go directly, hard money, go directly to candidates running for federal office, right? That's the big difference.
That's exactly right. And, John, the other significant distinction is America First, which is the President's Super PAC, cannot legally coordinate with the White House. because it's a super PAC which does independent expenditures. By definition, they do not coordinate. The Vice President's PAC, the Great America Committee, can do direct coordination of travel schedules, of opportunities of where they want to give the money. That is in direct coordination with the Trump campaign. It's in direct coordination with the people in the White House. And so it allows me much greater opportunity to have conversations with the people who are trying to make the decisions of where the vice president and the president should be going. This PAC, because it's a hard money PAC, can do that coordination. It's a very, very important distinction.
So, as a hard money PAC, the big thing is you're able to talk to the White House political operation. You're able to talk to, of course, the vice president's operation, decide where to send the president, where to do the rallies, where in campaigning for the midterms he's going to have the biggest impact of his time and his energy and the limited time he has. I mean, that's the big difference here.
That's the most significant difference, and it's a very important one. Now, the value of outside groups who are doing independent work, independent expenditures, is very, very important. But everything is at an arm's length. You can't talk to the team. You can't tell them how much money you're putting in. You can't show them the ads, if you're the outside group. As the inside person, right, the inside person of the Pence PAC, it allows me direct coordination with travel. It's a direct conversation of where they want to give money to candidates, very important. And so this is an opportunity as, the president's guy to be working directly and very closely with the vice president's team to make sure that the synergy is there and that they are 100% aligned on where they need to be in the midterms. And I can tell you this because I've now had the privilege of traveling with the vice president on a series of trips. This notion that there is a divide is just not true. I speak to the president, on a regular basis. He and the vice president have an amazingly strong relationship. They are in lockstep on everything they're doing, and they're completely focused on expanding the majorities of the Republicans in the Senate and holding on to the House.
What are your prospects, Corey, of holding the House in the 2018 midterms, honestly?
Look, honestly, John, I got to tell you, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been doing a lot of traveling around the country. I see them getting better and better. The generic ballot, meaning just the question of would you support a Republican or a Democrat, is now at a -4 for the Republicans. And in January of this year, it was at about a -15. So the Republicans have made a comeback. And part of that is the booming economy that this administration has put in through deregulation, through the tax cuts. But even if you're not benefiting from a 3.9% unemployment, lowest unemployment in the African-American and Hispanic community ever recorded, think of the foreign policy successes. John, we've already stopped talking about the 3 political prisoners that this president got released from North Korea. That took place last week. No one's talking about it anymore. That should have been a multi-week story, but the American people see it. You look at the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. That's something the president's working towards. You look at the promise that this president made and delivered on to move the embassy to Jerusalem. That is something that 12 presidents prior to this one pledged to do, and none of them got it done. So,
right.
You look at all of the great things that this administration has accomplished, and it's summed up in promises made, promises kept. That's why the Republicans are doing well.
We're with Corey Lewandowski, the former campaign manager of the Donald J. Trump for President campaign. He's the guy that put the president in the White House, won him the nomination. He masterminded it. You've got to read his book. I've been saying it. I mean it. Just do it. Go to Amazon. Let Trump Be Trump by Corey Lewandowski. It is the best read you're going to have in 2018. No question. And I've given it to all my friends. Everybody has said, hey, great book. Got to read that. We're with Corey Lewandowski now. He is now a senior policy advisor of the Great America Committee. That is the vice president's hard money political action committee. And he'll be raising money to, along with the vice president, to support candidates in the fall that are supporting President Trump's America First agenda. Corey, I hope I got all that straight. I think I got it figured out finally. Thank you for that clarification. Now, I would assume taking this position, that means you're not going to the White House at least through the midterms. Is that a fair assessment for me to make?
John, I'd love to say you're 100% right because I think you're 100% right. But in this topsy-turvy world of politics,
who knows,
nothing
right?
is 100%. But I do. I look, and I mean this in the best sense. I want to be on the outside. My highest and best value to this administration is the opportunity to go out and make sure that we are successful in the midterms. And the best place for me to do that is outside the White House, being on television, being in the country, campaigning, helping candidates who support the president's agenda get elected and win in places that we need to win. That's what I want to be doing, and that's where my focus is, and that's where my focus is definitely going to remain, hopefully through at least the midterms, if not well beyond that.
Well, actually, I can look at this and say it's actually better than if you were like running the White House political operation, because now you're able to coordinate directly with that political shop in the White House where the president should go, how he should spend his time, the best way to get him out, how to make the most impact in the midterms, which has really been a frustration of some of us. I mean, we love West Virginia, but he's been there 8 times. He won that by 39. We got to get him to New Hampshire. We got to get him to Missouri. We got to get him to Illinois. There's a lot of districts that if he goes in and campaigns for these candidates, I mean, he's the guy that's going to put it over the top, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And then you also see states like Tennessee, which are going to be much more competitive because the Democrats have found a very good candidate to run for that U.S. Senate seat. We've got Marsha Blackburn, who I believe is going to be our Republican nominee. She's a fantastic congresswoman. The president needs to go down there and make sure he's campaigning for her. And then we've got other states where we've got great opportunities to win: Montana, North Dakota, Florida, as an example. We've got a competitive governor's race down there and a competitive U.S. Senate race where we can pick up a seat. And obviously he's been to West Virginia a lot, but Missouri, you're right. There's so many great opportunities for us out there. I think the Republicans have the best map for pickups in the U.S. Senate that they have had in probably 50 years. And that's not an exaggeration. And so, this president wants to be on the road. He is a fantastic campaigner when he gets on the road. And John, as you know, I had the privilege of being with him in Washington, Michigan during the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We were with the American people, not with the swamp people in Washington.
Right.
The American people love to see the president. They love to hear from him directly. And there is no better candidate. There is nobody better of getting people fired up and reminding them of how great our country is doing again than Donald J. Trump.
No question about it. And also for those that saw that rally, Corey Lewandowski had the privilege and the honor to actually go on stage on national television. We were excited about that. You did a great job, Corey, by the way. 2 things I want to get to. Number one, the meeting in Trump Tower concerning this Russian doctor that came in. She was supposed to be talking about adoption and something about dirt on Clinton. Now, all these transcripts have been released, and Donald Trump Jr. just put a statement out saying, well, they're exactly what I said it was. You look at the documents, I glanced at them that came out that the Senate Intel Committee released. There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there to implicate anybody. When does this nightmare end?
Well, John, it can't end soon enough. I believe, I could be off by a day or two, but I think today is the 1-year anniversary that Bob Mueller was named as the special counsel, because it was 1 year and 1 week ago today that Jim Comey was fired. And so, this has been going long before Bob Mueller was appointed. We know that the members of the intelligence community were looking into the Trump campaign for an insurance policy long before Bob Mueller was ever named. We know that the members of the deep state inside some of those agencies did not want to see this man become elected president of the United States. And so the question is, how much longer is an investigation going to continue to go on when there is no evidence of any collusion because it didn't exist? There's no evidence of crimes. And look, if people lied to the FBI, that's a crime. But you better apply the law equally, because when Hillary Clinton lies, or Huma Abedin, or Cheryl Mills, or all the others, right? Or, by the way, a guy by the name of McCabe, Andrew McCabe, right? We know unequivocally lied under oath 3 times to the FBI. He's not a convicted felon. Where is that case? So you've got guys like, General Mike Flynn, who they say lied to the FBI, but there are members who were part of that questioning who said Mike Flynn never lied.
Right.
And what we see is an investigation that has run amok. And if people did things prior to coming to the Trump campaign, and I'm specifically talking about Paul Manafort and Rick Gates, who were doing things in 2004, 2005, 2006, literally 10 years before the campaign ever was even conceived or started, then it has nothing to do with it. End the investigation. Make sure the American people are aware that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and any outside entity. They can't say that, John, about the Clinton campaign, because the Clinton campaign has now admitted to taking $5 million and paying a former MI6 spy to go put together a dossier, which was used, at least in part, to apply for a FISA warrant to spy on American citizens on domestic soil, and
Right.
the president-elect of the United States was never notified that that application was made using the false dossier. And if you look at, Lion Jim Comey, he said, well, I didn't think it was necessary to tell the president who funded the dossier, and he supposedly didn't know where it came from. Every time Jim Comey's on television, he digs himself deeper and deeper and deeper into trouble, and we have not seen the last of Jim Comey's problems.
I don't think so either, and I think you're spot on with that. We're with Corey Lewandowski. He is now a senior advisor to the Great America Committee. That's GAC. That's the Vice President's Hard Money Political Action Committee. He'll be traveling with the Vice President to Indianapolis for a big tax cut rally on Friday. Corey, let's get to the White House and these leaks. It's no secret that I have a tremendous amount of respect for Kelly Sadler. She handles the White House surrogate outreach. I deal with her, Corey, as you know, on a daily basis as one of the White House TV surrogates. She's one of the finest women of high intelligence and grace I've ever met. She has certainly no history of inflammatory statements. She made a mistake in a meeting, said something that was in bad taste, crass, shouldn't have said it. Not excusing that, she apologized to Meghan McCain appropriately so. Dumb statement. But people say dumb things in meetings when you're with your staff. I'm not excusing it. But then the fact that in 5 minutes, according to Jonathan Easley, who broke this story, 5 minutes, the time it takes somebody to get to a private phone, calls up, leaks it to try to take her out because she's one of the true Trump believers in there. Now, Corey, there were only 11 other people in that meeting. Somebody picked up the phone in 5 minutes and leaked it to the Hill newspaper and Jonathan Easley, who then did his due diligence. I mean, how do you stop this? And if you were there, what action do you think should be taken?
Look, John, it is so disgusting to me that in private conversations with your colleagues that you're sitting there working 15, 18 hours a day with every day to try and help this president be successful. They are cutting you in the back every chance they get within 5 minutes. And look, you know what, Anthony Scaramucci, when he went into the building, he said, I'm going to rid this building of leakers. And it didn't work, but he was right. You know, Scaramucci said he's a front stabber, not a backstabber. It means he's going to come right at you. Here's what I do, John, and I'm only half kidding about this. I'd put all 11 names into a hat who was in the room, okay? I'd pick one name out of the hat and say, guess what? You're fired. Now, maybe I don't get the leaker on the first name, John, but guess what? Next leak that comes, I put the 10 names into a hat. I pick the next one out. Boom, you're fired. Look, if you can't figure out in your own operation who's doing this, then that is a fundamental flaw of the operation that's up and running. And when you start getting rid of people, and they say, well, you can't fire me. Sure you can't, right? You serve at the pleasure of the president. And I'm only half kidding about this. I would start firing people one by one. Maybe you're the last one to go and you're the leaker, but I'll tell you what. You're going to stop leaking if you think that your name's getting put in the hat and I'm pulling a lottery ball out and it's got your name on it and you're gone, right? That's going to end things very, very, very quickly. And people say, you can't do that. That's a terrible way to manage. You're an awful manager. Guess what? Leaks will stop. And I would bring people in that I would be 100% sure are only on the president's agenda. Because anybody who is leaking from that building is doing it at the detriment of the president and at the detriment of putting our nation first again, of making America great again, of having an America first agenda. They're doing it for their own edification. It's not helping. And if you want to leak, then go leave the building. Go back to the private sector. Go back and do something else. But don't do a disservice to the 60 million people who want to see our country great again by leaking information on your colleagues, because to me, that's the lowest of the low.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that is a strategy to do that. I did a column on it the other day. I think you're spot on. Corey Lewandowski, who will be coming to Jacksonville. We still got to get a date because it was June 12th he was going to come, but now that might be the Singapore summit with Kim Jong-un. I'm going to go to that as part of the White House press pool if that happens. So we're looking for another date, but he's going to be coming to Jacksonville when we can get a date worked out, and he'll be doing a book signing for us at the Salem Center in Jacksonville. We're going to have a lot of fun there. Corey Lewandowski, it's always an honor to have you on, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Have a great day.